As a result of 20th century marine resource management policies in Chile, opportunities for polycentrism emerged in Ancud and Carelmapu. Although aquaculture was greatly expanding, this encroached on indigenous culture and communities who shared similar waterways and resource needs. As a result, 2008 Lafkenche laws were passed. What these did was they allowed for indigenous communities to create marine coastal spaces for original people, also known as ECMPOs. These establish protection for subsistence farming and cultural practices within indigenous communities and protected sites. ECMPOs also gave discretion to indigenous communities to allow other stakeholders in the development and harvesting of resources, as well as ECMPO development projects. That meant that TERFs could now operate in cooperation and coordination with indigenous values as long as they were invited to do so. Ancud and Carelmapu make excellent case studies because of their similarities, such as that they are dependent on the sea. They have over a fifth of their population which identifies as either original people or indigenous. They have a high percent of their population below the poverty line, which is typical in the lakes region of Chile. Their differences lie in their sizes. Ancud is much larger. They have a population of 40,000. They have 7 fishing unions, but no ECMPOs. So comparatively, Carelmapu only has 2,800 population, and it only has 5 fishing unions, but it does have 1 ECMPO, and they both, fishers in both societies, feel powerless against aquaculture proliferation. The current outcome for polycentrism in Carelmapu is as follows. In 2016, multiple indigenous communities in Carelmapu banded together to begin planning on the ECMPO Borde Costero, which actually got approval. However, this ECMPO was perceived by local fishermen as encroaching on their livelihoods. This is despite the fact that indigenous communities invited all 5 fishing unions to participate in the process, of which only 3 unions attended the first meeting, and all non-indigenous fishing union leaders at that meeting refused cooperation. Fishing unions feel powerless not only to aquaculture but also to ECMPO, as they feel as though even if they were to cooperate, they would have less power in decision making. Despite this, indigenous communities continue to attempt cooperation with invites to local fishing unions. In contrast, Ancud presented a situation where indigenous communities were less active in local marine resource management. As a result, they were generally excluded from management committees created by local fishing unions. The fact that local fishing unions were excluded by aquaculture allowed them, or really forced them, to quickly form polycentric governance among themselves to protect themselves from encroachment there. However, this polycentric governance is again largely excluding indigenous voices, and in fact no signs of extensions of invitation for indigenous voices to be heard.